Okay, Holmes. Let's try D4. Maybe Trompowsky, because I've played the Trompowsky recently in the simultaneous display, where he went with Carlson. I might have a look at that game actually. There was a couple of very interesting games there. I know it was just simultaneous, but I don't remember him ever playing Trompowsky before. Can I play C3 check? I hope so. Again, I'm not really that hot on the theory here, but I think this should be okay. Knight A3 to C4, just to gain a tempo on the queen. Okay, do I take that tempo now? Play Knight H3, Knight F2. And that's B5, so I'll take the tempo now. Okay, I'll clamp down on B5. But I would like Knight H3, Knight E5. It's going to take on H3. Knight F2, take. Maybe. Let's get the knight back over there. Problem is Knight H5. I don't know. So I got G4 to try and clamp him down. If I play G4 here, it looks a bit odd. Is there any point to it? Knight H5, Bishop E3 is going to play F5. So yeah, try and clamp him down. Okay. I can slip into C6 if he's not careful. Try just casting kingside. Just keep this as positional, not to go for his. Okay, so Knight A5. Try and get into that C6 square. Okay, move that. Okay, the knight on F2 is not bad here, stopping the checks. Knight C6, will that be harmless, or will it actually have some effect? Or should I just take on B7? Maybe Bishop E3 in fact. And wait for E6. Bishop G3. I'm not really sure what the plan is. I could just grab that light square bishop, I suppose. Steinitzian grab of the two bishops, and then hopefully the light square bishop, we'll see if it's a hero later on the light squares. How can we open up the light squares for it? It's going to cramp it with B3. Maybe Bishop D1. Then slowly play for like a F4, Queen E3, Bishop F3 and E5 to open the bishop on this diagonal. Alternatively, he's going to peel open with BC and try and target the C3 pawn. So how about just F4 here? Okay, F4. Right, E5 is knight D5. So I think a rook to D1 first would be useful. So if I'm going to play E5, then okay. G5 is knight H5. I'm not really sure what to do after that. So I think E5 E6 is the more effective. Trying to weaken his king. E5 knight D5, knight E4. Queen can move to various places. So rook D2 first then. Just trying to play a bit slower. But he could unveil an attack on C3 here soon. Oops. We could do that. Right, H3. Maybe he's weakening his king side a little bit with that move. So H3 might just not to give that knight some squares. If it has to go back to attack c3, then fine. Maybe queen f3 to protect c3, because now my rook's protecting c2. In fact, knight moves back e5, I get my e5 in. So really, he's potentially giving me a dangerous semi-open file here. Now, is this bishop, good potentially? Let's see if some of the Steinitz ideas work in 5-minute chess. So, just to open up this bishop, that could be seen as a small accumulation advantage there when knight takes b7 was played, getting 2 bishops. But it's all in context, really. You can't really, it's in this context. Am I really going to liberate this bishop on the light squares? Although e5 does seem as though it might be promising one day. If he plays knight e8, then e5, and the bishop has got already like threat of e6 and smashing him because of g6. So e5 here, has he really got knight d5? Because if he hasn't, then e6 would seem pretty menacing, actually. I suppose I lose c3. He loses d7. So e6 is very tempting. Knight moves. I suppose he wants ef7. I think I've got to go for e6. It just looks... Okay, now what about f5? So bishop c3. Oh, surely f5 is liberating this bishop, because ef and fg. Surely, this wedge. Okay, so... Okay. If I take this pawn... Okay, I'm losing c3. But... I don't know, queen f3, taking the bishop, queen f7... That sort of thing. Queen f3, knight f6. Knight e4. Better speed up. Actually, bishop h7 just wins the exchange. I hope. Unless bishop c3 is useful at the end of it. There's always queen c2s. So is the exchange down? I can use the h file with king g2 soon as well. So it's looking good, I think. A bit shorter on the clock at the moment, short time on the clock. But with this wedge here, use the semi-open h file. Light squares are kind of vulnerable still. I play queen check. Let me just go into g6, pin the bishop. Before knight d3 comes as an interruption. Or just king g2 here. To prevent rook h1. Maybe you missed this move. King g2. Okay, I'll throw in the check, because I think queen f5 threatening g5 now. This wedge in the centre is pretty hot. Okay, so I just simply take. I think I don't want to lose on time, so I think that's the priority, not to lose on time. What points of attack? This e7 point of attack. Maybe rook takes and d6. Or it's not necessary, just rook c7. Oh, God. I'm just. Oh, God, c3 is vulnerable. Okay. Time to panic. 21 seconds. So, knight takes c5, d6. Again, I'm losing that pawn. Why did I want to lose that pawn? 16 seconds. Okay, what about e7? Oh dear. King f3. I'll try and blockade this Ah, might be winning bishop. Okay, get the Zugzwang. Key check. Get the king out of the way. Oh, without allowing stalemate. That was a draw. Oh. Ouch. Anyway, he didn't have mating material when it was a draw. So crushing earlier. just short of time. It looks so crushing. So this Queen E8. Oh well. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.